This episode is brought to you by RMK Productions and Network and the 10 United Podcast Network. I am your host, Marjorie Phoenix, and along with my other host, Kevin McLemore, we want to welcome you to our special COVID series. Over the next few months, we will be covering various aspects of the COVID-19 pandemic. In our last episode, we spoke with some COVID survivors, and they shared their personal experiences battling the virus with us. Today, we're going to tackle the unintended consequences of the public health response, particularly in our educational system. Our guest this evening is Isabelle Lagadic. Isabelle is an associate professor at Northern Kentucky University, where she teaches chemistry. She has been in education for about 25 years now, and she finds herself in the position where she has to choose between her health and safety and doing the job that she loves. Welcome to the show, Isabelle.
Thank you very much, Marjorie and Kevin. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Now, I have to say that we did invite other professors from various colleges and universities across the country who are all speaking up against the lack of a mask mandate on some of the campuses. And some of them declined only based on the fact that it has become overwhelming and now affecting their mental health as they speak more and more to the press and the media about this issue. So we certainly appreciate you taking the time to speak with us about this, Isabelle. When you and I first connected, I got an opportunity to hear your very interesting story and how you came to teach here in the United States. You moved here from France as a young woman as part of an exchange program. And along the way, you've had many adventures. And unfortunately, we won't be able to get into all of those tonight. We'll have to have you back to share some of those stories. But before we do get into the topic at hand, I'd like for you to briefly share with our audience a little bit about yourself and your journey in coming to America.
Sure, I'll be happy to do so. So like you said, Marjorie, I came, got my PhD in France in chemistry. I did all my education in France and came to here in the US. It was in, I will remember the date forever, January 16, 1995. And I had what we call a postdoc fellowship. So it's some sort of training after the PhD. And it was at Kansas State University. So I landed in that cold January night in Kansas City Airport. A lot of snow outside. Not that I hadn't seen snow before. I was comfortable with snow. Not that many though, not that much snow. The last flight from Atlanta. And that's where I realized, I was like, why was I thinking when I boarded that flight from Paris to Atlanta and then from Atlanta to Kansas City? What was I thinking about? Because suddenly I landed in that airport at Kansas City and I couldn't understand anything. I was like, I don't understand what they're talking about. And I went to a hotel. They had booked a hotel for me, and I'm just going to do a quick view of what happened there. I didn't realize that the hotels were pretty far away from the airport. So I was in this taxi, and like I told you, Marjorie, when we talked about, the taxi was driving me, and I was like, okay, well, I cannot see any lights anywhere, so he's probably taking me somewhere where he's going to kill me. Right? Because I couldn't see any lights. I didn't know where he was taking me. And I was so tired. And I was like, I made the worst decision of my life. I don't care anymore. I don't care. Just let's finish it right there. And then after that, my first experience to go from the airport the next day from the airport, from Kansas City to Manhattan, Kansas, where Kansas State is, was to take a Greyhound bus. So that was also another experience with another taxi driver that was very, very nice, was the nicest lady I've ever met in my life. that was so worried about me taking the Greyhound bus and taking me to the Greyhound bus station that she was almost carrying me everywhere to make sure I was not going to get out of the station. I was not going to get lost. I was not going to have any problems. So that's how I started my journey here in the US. So a little bit bumpy at the beginning, and then we had some, flat roads and then bumpy roads, and that's how it went, like
That
everybody's life, I
that
think.
I told you already, this is a book. You must write a book about your adventure and coming to this country. And then when you got settled in, you weren't sure if you were going to stay, but after a while, you were like, okay, I think I can do this.
That's correct. Yeah, I was, until I met my postdoc advisor, who was going to be my boss. I was like, oh, no, I'm just going to take, buy a ticket back home, and that's going to be like a 3 day, 3 day, in and out of the US, and that's it. And then I met him, and he was used to, international students, and so he was speaking very slowly. He was really nice, asking me if I needed anything at the beginning. You arrive in a new country with 2 suitcases, and that's it. That's all you have. So he asked me if I needed money, if I needed anything, and he was so nice, and I could understand him. So I'm like, okay, he's my boss. I can understand him. I'm gonna give it a try. And 26 years later, that's it. I'm still here.
That's how we get you.
That's how you got me.
So now you're teaching chemistry. So tell us a little bit about what's going on at the university where you are now. Because initially when we first spoke as well, you had a clubhouse room with some of the other professors, and you wanted to have a real dialogue about what was going on there. So share with our audience what's happening on the campuses right now.
So right now, my university, they had the mask mandate because in Kentucky, the governor put a mask mandate in all the schools, including the universities. So we knew a week before school started that we were going to have a mask mandate in the indoors. Now they put a mask recommendation or suggestions for outdoors, and anything that is below a mandate, we know is not going to be applied. So right now, as we speak now, what I know of what's going on campus is that there are a lot of students that have been sick, including some at the hospital. A lot of students missing classes. And this week is going to be their first week of exams because they usually have exams every 4 weeks. So that's their 4-week of class. And that's the first exam week. And so many missed classes that they are asking, can I take the exam later? Can I just, drop the exam and have the exam replaced by something else? I mean, they are completely at loss right now. Some faculty are sick. The person that is replacing me actually went to teach my class while she was not feeling well in the morning, went home by mid-afternoon, got tested, had COVID, and then had to teach online for the following lecture session. So not only, and because of course, someone had to replace me for the 4 courses I was supposed to teach. So now they also have a shortage of people that can replace the people that would be sick and could stay home. So either people are going to come and teach sick, or they're going to teach online, but you know how it is when even if you have to do something online when you're sick, you're not good, you're not feeling good. So it puts more stress on everybody.
Now, am I to understand you were required to teach online while you were sick with COVID?
No, for me, what happened is that at the beginning, so like I said, we were not even told that we would have the mask mandates for the students a week before school started. And during that week, even after I knew that we were going to have the mask mandate, usually I prepare my classes, 3 weeks in advance. I give plenty of notice to my students because I want them to contact me to tell me if they have problems buying the materials and things like that, so that I can make arrangements for them. And each time I was going to my computer to get ready for my class, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't picture myself teaching in front of those students with mask or without mask, in those big crowded rooms, or even in the small rooms that we have for the labs. So I just couldn't. I was at my computer, and when I was opening my files to start preparing my class materials, I was frozen. I was paralyzed. I've never been like that. So the week before school started, I had decided, and that was at the time when we had started to see some faculty resigning or even being fired, and that started to show up in the press and in the higher education publications. And I made the decision. That was on the Wednesday. I made the decision. I'm resigning. I cannot go next week and teach. So I look at what other of my colleagues had done, that their names were showing up in the press. And I'm like, I'm gonna do like they're doing. I'm resigning. And I had started my resignation letter when one of my colleagues put a post on Facebook asking, has anybody thought about going online for a month or a month and a half? And I stopped typing my resignation letter, and I said, okay, one more chance. I am going to go online. And I replied to that post, and I said, you're right. I am going to start online for a month until we see the number of cases decreasing, some improvements in the COVID cases. And I said, then the chips will fall wherever they fall. And everybody started, I gathered some likes from my colleagues until there was a post from the Faculty Senate president saying, I strongly discourage people taking decisions like that to go online, including tenure faculty. So that was a clear message. And after that, there was no post, nobody was chiming in, nobody said anything. So I was like, when I make a decision, that's it. Like I said, the chips were going to fall, wherever they were going to fall. And I said, I'm not going to back off. I contacted my department chair and I said, I made my decision. I am going to do my classes online for 1 month and see after 1 month where we are. And I had done my classes online already the whole last year. So it was not new to me. And his answer was like, you are to report to your class in person on Tuesday morning or contact HR. So I contacted HR, and I was getting ready for a fight with HR too, because I'm like, that is not good either. But I was very lucky to get someone from HR that was extremely understanding. And I explained to her, I said, that's my situation. I've never taken any days off or any sick days in 25 years. I never missed classes. I never, went to teach with ear infection, with a cast on my leg. I mean, you name it. And I was all the time going to do my work. And I said, I cannot. I cannot. I never had any anxiety attack, but I said, I cannot leave home to go and teach in front of all those students. And by talking to her, she understood, and she said, okay, well, just go on medical leave. And that's what I did. So basically, we were on the Thursday, classes were going to start on Monday. So my department chair had just one day to reschedule everybody, all my colleagues and everything, to get them to teach my 4 courses. So moving everybody around and changing everything.
That's amazing. So you had to take a stand right there and make a decision, for yourself. And, lucky for you, you were in a position where you have all of this accrued sick time. So it's
Yeah.
giving you that, but there are teachers, instructors, faculty members who don't have that. Share a little bit with us about, and I don't know, I hope this is okay. If it's not, you can let me know. I know there were a couple of other professors that were in a clubhouse room with you. Don't have to give us names, but just share with us some of their situations as well, especially in Georgia. Right
Yes.
now, there is a lot going on. There's a lot of protesting, and there's just a lot of activity over there.
Yes. So yes, in Georgia, the situation is different because they don't even have a mask mandate. So they had the same type of classroom as we have here, like 40, 50, even like 100, 200, because some of those universities are bigger than NKU, and no mask at all in the room. So then we had some of the people I had on Clubhouse. One was an instructor. So again, in the faculty, you have different rankings. So you have the tenure track, and tenure track, you have the assistant professors that are not tenured yet. So they need every other year, they're going to have to present, their portfolio to see if they move to the next year or the next 2 years until they get tenure. The tenure faculty are a little bit more protected because it's like this is job security that we have. And then you have instructors and lecturers. Instructors and lecturers it's a contract that is renewable. So on that Clubhouse, there was a young lady that was an instructor in biology, and she got started exactly like me, was getting ready to prepare her classes, got on her computer and got the same paralyzed situation when she was like, I cannot go. I cannot go and teach with no mask. I cannot. And, and like me, when you get into the situation when you're in front of your computer and you start crying there is not really a reason, it's just the stress. And she was like that. And she decided, I'm not going. And because she was an instructor, while she got fired, they said, like, you cannot, you're not completing what is in your contract. And you are so she got fired on the spot and couldn't even have unemployment benefits because basically it was a breach of contract for her.
Now, let me ask this. Knowing the position the university took, is your interpretation, your perception of how you felt after they made their decision, are they choosing your health over profit, or is this political? These decisions to wear a mask or not?
It's a little bit of both. Right now at my school, the provost with the vice president for academic affairs said, like, it's so out of control that I said, like, I don't care how the faculty are teaching, I won't retaliate. But nobody really wanted us to tell the students before they enrolled or before they come to class. They were enrolled, but before the semester started, they probably didn't want us to say we're going to move online, because for some people, even without exactly knowing what the students want, and I think they should ask the students, because some students would like to have some online classes. But for some people, it is like students want to be in person on campus. So if we were to tell them before classes were back in session, or some classes are going to be online, some students may have decided to drop those classes or to even drop from college completely. And before they start school, it's 100% tuition refund at this point. Now, if the students drop because they're sick or because, you know, some faculty had to move online because they're also sick and the students don't like it, if the students drop, that is 0% tuition. I mean, they're not getting their tuition money back. So that's one thing. And the political aspect of it is also in there because, and I started to think about that because I was like, you know, our provost, like vice president for academic affairs and presidents, those people are not, you know, stupid people. I mean, they're smart people, they're intelligent people. So I'm like, how can they take so irrational decisions? Why would they risk the health and the lives of their students who are their customers, basically, and the life of their faculty who are their workforce, right? I mean, it didn't match for me. You know, those people are, like I said, they're intelligent. Now, the thing is that over a president and over a whole university, there is a body that is called the Board of Regents or a Board of Trustees, depending on the states, depends on how those people are either selected, or there are some states where you have a Board of Regents for all the universities in the state, and then each university has a Board of Trustees. For us, each university has a Board of Regents in Kentucky. And those people are the ones that are basically deciding everything has to be approved by the Board of Regents in terms of the tuition, if we want to increase the tuition, if we want to bring new programs, even like tenure and everything, they have the last stamp of approval. The Board of Regents has the last stamp of approval. They also have the decision on the president in terms of, like, you know, his salary, bonuses, if there is any sort of conflict, you know, should we keep the president? Should we start the process of removing the president? This is this board is basically overseeing the president of a university.
They have a lot of power.
They have exactly a lot of power. And that's where the politics is coming in. And I've seen, I cannot speak for the Board of Regents of Northern Kentucky University, but I've seen some articles in, I don't remember if it was the Chronicle of Higher Education or Inside Higher Education, where it was the Board of Trustees of a community college in Idaho that had the power. Actually, they voted to revoke the mask mandate that the president had put in place. And another Board of Trustees or Board of Regents in Mississippi that did the same thing. So even though the president had put a mask mandate in place, the Board of Regents voted to remove that. And the president had to be like, okay, I have to comply with that. So now, sometimes I would like to see some president, you know, having a little bit of spine, right, for those people and kind of going against them. But that means for the president putting his or her position in the, you know, on the table.
Now, Marjorie and both you guys brought up power. And if you actually look at where the power lies, since I brought up earlier, profit or economics, the power lies in each student that enrolls. Mm-hmm. Knowing that the quality of the product that the institution stands on, when they start losing high tenured professors, does that devalue the brand of the university, or are they not revealing information in order for students to enroll after their commitment, only to learn who they committed to and why they committed? The product was not the same. I mean, me personally, as a parent, if I found out that my child was going to a school and he was getting the same education provided at community college, and I'm paying for a premium college because the professors that drew me to the college were no longer there because of profit, I should be due a refund. And I know that's not the way the system works. What would happen if the students stopped coming to the university? Would the teachers come back? if they change and made it mandatory for everyone to wear a mask, or will we still be in the conundrum right now of people having a choice based on their own personal beliefs and not the protection of humanity?
For well, for the faculty that were fired, I don't think, the thing is that for them, and even, I was not fired, but I haven't heard from my university, from my department chair, from anybody. There is this mentality in higher ed, many institutions, that the fear of retaliation. Many of my colleagues are not talking to me because they are afraid of the retaliation. For this year, the students, for example, my students, on their class schedule, they had my name, and suddenly they saw, someone else showing up, and they were like, okay, well, that they were not told anything about me. They were not told that, Dr. Lagadic decided not to come to teach. Or, I don't think I was portrayed in a negative side, or in a negative way or a positive way. I don't even exist anymore for my department. So then, wow. Suddenly, like I said, everything happened after the reform period, basically. So, and people that were fired or people that resigned, everything happened also, like the ones in Georgia, happens right at the beginning, but that they have, in many schools, you have only 1 week to get 100% of your tuition money back. So even the second week, you drop to 50%, and the third week, that's it. They keep everything. So many of the faculty that resigned, or that were on the, like in Georgia, when they had, like, it was already September, I think it was last week, right? The week of September 13th. So they had started already in August. So even the faculty that during that strike or that walkout decided, okay, I'm going to resign now, then the students cannot leave, and I cannot say, like, well, I don't have the teacher or the faculty that I want. I'm going to get out and go to another college and give me my money back. Mm-hmm. They can do that, but they're not going to get their money back.
Right. And, when you and I were talking about this, I said, it's bad enough right now that, we really have choices, right? The future generation, they have choices. College has become so expensive. And so, you don't necessarily have to go on campus anymore. You can fulfill your degree closer to home, doing it, online. So to me, this doesn't make any sense, because they're creating more of a barrier there that they're going to see eventually, maybe in the next 3 to 5 to 10 years, they're going to have a PR problem with this. So one of the things I did want to ask you about, though, was what these teachers are talking about doing now that, and even for you, like, what's next? You resign, or you've been fired. Is it about finding your next home at a university where you feel like, the values and everything are in line with your beliefs? Or is it looking at a new way to educate and to teach and do what you love?
I think we're going to see both in the youngest faculty that were either fired or decided to resign. I think they still believe in higher ed. So they are trying to find, like you're saying, the sweet spot, the university or the college is going to align with what they want to have. So they are going to reapply for a job. Older faculty like me, I think we're done. I think we've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of higher ed, and some of us I'm not one of them, but some of us have already started to do some either consulting or tutoring on the side. And then really what we saw is that shift, like you were saying about, the online opportunities, alternative credential. And the thing is that those alternative credentials, it's kind of all over the place now. And then people that created those companies, they're good business people, they're good entrepreneurs, but they're going to need us. We're the one that can create content. So that's, for me, that's the next step. It's a little bit tough because that's unexpected. So I'm just getting, right now you have me in a much better state than I used to be even 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's just trying to develop a network. Usually, faculty are not really good at networking because we are our network is our institution basically, and we network with other institutions, but our network is within higher ed, right? It's not a private sector. It's not. So now we have to expand our horizon to private sector and kind of sell ourselves for like what we can provide, including like, hey, when we're not among the youngest, but we are not afraid of learning new technology. We're not afraid of jumping into something that we don't know. And that's what we need to do. So right now, of what I've heard, all the people that either resigned or were fired and are on the older side, we are just trying to come back on earth right now and be like, what was that? We thought we had the job security and we were going to smooth sailing until retirement, right? We were like, oh, well, that's that's little bump with the COVID. I learned, new techniques and new technology with online and all this. That's cool. That's something I can do when I retire. I can help, do a tutoring stuff for the students. And right now it's like, boom, we just hit a big wall, and we are just, some of us are still a little bit on the ground, and we're just getting up and be like, oh, what happened? What was the sucker punch that we took here?
Now, Isabelle, I'm going to ask you one question. I know Margie will wrap up soon, but in my part-time job, and this is a joke, I play a futurist, and I'm listening to you right now, and we're all looking for answers, right or wrong. The university and had to put someone ahead of it. I would look for someone that was a human being first and a business person second, and had no allegiance to politics, understanding politics only serves the politician. If you were to put together an answer for this situation, being the head of a university, what would that conversation look like, and what would that picture look like if you were the head of an institution such as the one that basically turned their back on you for profit?
Well, first of all, what I would do, I would basically just even read their own mission statement that they have, all of us, all of them, all the institutions. They see like, we are student-centric. Okay, well, if you're student-centric, why don't you ask the students what they want? Because right now, and that's what frustrated me at even this summer, I spent the whole year teaching online last year, or teaching remotely, I should say, because online is another level of teaching that I haven't reached yet. But some students told me like, you know what, this online thing, it's not that bad after all, not for everything, but it offered them a lot of flexibility in terms of the job. I mean, the university where I am, there are a lot of students that work almost 40 hours a week. So for them, having those things online that they could catch up during the weekend or in the evening, it offered a lot of flexibility. So the big mistake that was made, I think, was not to listen to the students and then to the faculty and the staff and be like, okay, what did you think worked very well during this COVID? Because this is the direction we need to go. We need to look at, I know that you know, some people don't like to see universities as business, but when you charge what you're charging students, you become a business. So then you need to start thinking like a business. And the students are your customers, and you need to look at what the customers want. We're getting into, like Marjorie was saying, you know, into students that want flexibility. You know, they're on their phone all the time. They don't want to have to go through papers anymore. They don't want to have to go through clicking different things. It has to be right there, right now. So I think it would be, you know, if I were, that's really a future, like even like not even happening for me. But if I were the head of an institution, I would certainly listen to the students. I would listen to faculty. Now, I would be very picky in the faculty that I would select, because we get another weight that universities have is all the time to go for the consensus. No decision can be made without having the consensus of everyone. And when you wait for everybody to agree on something, you can't move. You just can't move. You know, you always have this little a group of people that are going to say no, even if you talk about the weather. They're going to tell, you know, if it's sunny outside, they're going to be like, no, it's not sunny. It's not really sunny. And you always have those. And when you wait to bring those on board, you lose a lot of time. So I'm not for executive decisions all the time, but I'm not for consensus all the time either. When you really wait to bring everybody, even the people that are going to drag you down and are going to say no for the sake of saying no, are going to come with this devil's advocate reasoning that be like, that would never happen anyway. Why are you coming up with that with that situation that is completely out there? And but by bringing, you know, listening to what the students and seeing where the students are going in what they want, and the parents are big decision makers in higher education. The faculty that are for moving forward, thinking outside the box, and just rewarding and encouraging people that are risk takers and thinking outside the box. You don't move anything if you don't take risks. There are going to be decisions that are not going to be good, and there are going to be some failures. But if you don't try new things, then you cannot move forward. So for me, it would be listening to the students and the parents, and then certainly bringing around people that really want to move forward and are outside of the box thinkers and are willing to take risk and are not afraid to fail.
I'm going to tell you, I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you that this is your LinkedIn bio. Someone out there with a bigger heart that's not looking at their pocketbook is going to look at this and says, I want someone to run my institution that first is going to consider what we committed to when we started the institution. And that is going to create balance and collaboration, because collaboration is key. And I think you're now in a position to where your stock is high. And I want to thank you for allowing me to be present in your greatness. And I'm thankful that Marjorie put this together, you know, our queen. So Marjorie, I'm going to turn it over to you, because I'm speechless to be in such a, you know, we got to go out and get the world ready for you, because I don't think the world's ready for this.
Yes, I told you, and wait until you hear her full story. You know, what you're speaking about is this collective consensus, you know, which is really how we should be as a society, right? How, you know, voting is done on every different layer. But what you have, though, is a small group of few, right, that are making those decisions and not taking into account who is going to be affected by this. And I know that professors and teachers, instructors, they're losing their jobs, but the biggest losers in all of this are our children and the students of the school. They need that stability. They need a place where they can come and they know that they can learn and they'll be able to be safe.
Yeah.
Everybody wants that. We want to be safe. I believe that that's the most important thing for us, other than this, right of whatever it is you think you have a right to. But it's really around the safety. We want our children, we send our children off to college. We want them to be safe and
And they want
healthy.
to be safe too. You know what is
Yes.
interesting, if you look at the survey of the students about what they were expecting in terms of safety in colleges this year, this fall,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
majority was like, we want masks, we want social distancing, because when they realized this new Delta variant was actually going to affect them more this year than last year, they were like, you better ramp up your safety procedure compared to last year, because last year we just had the sniffles, right? Even if we had COVID, it was not a big deal because it was not a strong strain for the young people.
Right.
But this one is affecting them, and they really wanted us to make sure they were going to be safe, and we failed them.
Yeah. And imagine the cost to the institution as well, to have all sick students and sick faculty. That's a cost there as well. So I'm so grateful that you shared this information and brought awareness to this to our audience today, Isabella, and we will continue this conversation. We're going to continue to talk about how this is affecting in our public school system as well,
Yeah.
where the dynamics are a little bit different. But again, it goes back to our children and the students. So we have covered a lot of information here today, guys, and we hope at some point during this episode that you've learned something new. If you enjoyed this, we invite you to share this with your friends and your followers. And if you do not want to miss another episode, you might want to go ahead and just subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Facebook and Instagram at RMK Productions and Network. And you can also visit our website at rmkproductions.net. Until next time, be the change you want to see in the world.